Welcome to the Hopenning, the place where hope is happening, with your hosts Fran Cadrone and Marina Theron-Monnery. For more information about Fran and Marina, or to apply to be a guest on the show, please go to our website www.hopenning.com. The Hopenning is for informal purposes only and is based on the research of your hosts, Fran and Marina. They, as well as their guests, are not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from this podcast, which is not intended to replace any professional medical advice or care by medical professionals you are currently utilizing.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hopenning, the place where hope is happening. I am Fran, and this is my beautiful co-host, Marina, and today we are on Hopenning number 119, Finding Your Purpose. And so for many of us, even in the age that we're in right now, Marina, finding your purpose comes up often as a topic that we do therapy sessions for.
Right.
So finding your purpose, I think, is always a great choice of topic, especially in the fall when we start to cozy in for our long winters here in Canada. So, Marina, what are the first thoughts that you can share with our viewers about finding a purpose?
Well, it's a twofold thought that comes to me. The first one is quite personal. The second one is about what I encountered in clients. It was around 20, yeah, I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2017. And that really made me contemplate life.
Mhm.
And one of the questions I've had was, why am I here? What is my purpose? Why was I created? Why was I born? Why am I here? And it was in contemplation, in prayer, in meditation, it was a question I really, really asked. And by 2018, when things really started to change in my life in a positive way, I finally had to come to terms with my heart's desire and dealing with all my limiting thoughts about myself that made me believe that I'm not worthy and I'm not good enough for what I really wanted and felt called to do in my life, which is exactly this: helping people, giving people hope. But when I first I want to say, stepped out into the open about expressing that and coming to terms with that, it was really, really hard for me because I believed with everything I had that I will be judged. And part of that was to find a way to rise above and understand that even if I am judged, it's none of my business. So that's personal. But what I have seen since working with over the last 3 years with over 300 clients now, I've seen that women in their middle ages specifically ask this question. I thought it was cancer related, but I don't think it is. At some point, your kids move out, you everything changes in life. If you are a mother, you know this, Fran, and you and I were both single mothers. Um, Kids give you purpose. Kids get you out of bed in the morning. You feel responsible to them, for them. But suddenly, when they are grown up, you start to question, why am I here? Just like I did. I see that so many times in my clients. How about you?
Mhm. Yeah. I like how you talked about the personal reason and the client reason. And I'll share a little bit of my personal stuff and then as well as clients. So for you, it was your cancer experience. And for me, it was the realization that my marriage wasn't working. And all of the religious background that I come from, and the the dedication that I had to the marriage that wasn't working, and it was causing me so much heartache. And that was my big why. It was why am I alive? All of those things. Why, you said the why me, that too. Why me? I'm trying to do everything right, and it wasn't working. And so that's, for me, that was rock bottom, my rock bottom. And at that point, there was no other way to go, right? You can only climb back up. But at that point, it was crawling up a well with fingernails, right? It was a long way up. And so for many of our clients, I think when they hit the bottom of the well, when they have no place else to go, and it could be a life experience, it could be that change that happens when your kids move out of the home, it could be a marriage breakdown, it could be a traumatic death, unexpected death. There's a rock bottom that you hit, and you really have no choice but to go up, thankfully, right? But it's not easy. It's really not easy to climb out of that well. And sometimes there are crabs in the bottom of the well that want to keep on pulling you back down wherever they are to spend some time with them. And so it's interesting. Life is an interesting journey. I talked to a friend of mine about the why. And I'm going to give this one to our viewers because I thought it was brilliant. If you want to make a life change, and say for us, when we became hypnotherapists, or when we do what we do here on the Hopenning, do the 7 layers of why. And the first one is, Marina, why do you want to be a hypnotherapist? And you'll get an answer. Because you want to help people. Why do you want to help people? So that's 2. Why do you want to help people? And you'll get a reason. So whatever,
Yeah.
for that reason, you ask a why, and then you ask the next why. And then because there's these layers, and whatever the 7th layer is the bottom layer of the why. And so I did this recently for myself. And the 7th layer was to love and be loved. That was my 7th layer. And it was like super revealing to me because, there's all kinds of layers. There's all kinds of stuff on top, the money, fame, status, whatever, there's lots of different layers on top. But if you can get down to the 7th layer, that's where the true answer lies. So,
So explain this to me then. So if you ask, for example, why do I want to be a hypnotherapist? That's number one. Number two is um, the why. Why do you want to be a hypnotherapist? Or yeah, is why do I want to be a hypnotherapist? Because I want to help people.
okay,
Why do you
why
want to
do I
help
want to
people?
help people?
That's number two.
That's the second one.
Okay. I want to help people because I want to give them hope.
Why do you want to give them hope?
I want to give them hope because I want them to be happy.
Why do you want them to be happy?
Because I want them to live their full potential.
Why do you want them to live their full potential?
Because that is ultimate fulfillment.
Okay, what are we on now? 4?
I'm on 6, I think.
So, why do you want someone else to live to their ultimate fulfillment?
Because I think that's why we are here.
So that's circle that one, because that's
Yeah.
your why,
Yeah.
because that's what you
We are
believe, the
here.
reason we are
Okay.
here.
That's truly my belief. That's truly, I believe we were created to grow into the best versions of ourselves. to
Mhm.
live out your potential. That's
Mhm.
that's a powerful exercise, Fran. Thank you
It's
for that.
super good. It is super powerful. And the digging deep part, it's hard. It's like, but I wanted to stop on number two.
Right. What an
But
amazing
but no,
exercise.
just keep on going to the seventh layer. As you and I both know, there's power in the number seven. Some people call it lucky, some people call it whatever, but there's power in that number seven. If you can get to the seventh layer, you've got your answer.
Mm,
So
mm,
yeah. So life
absolutely.
changes, Marina. So
Indeed.
yeah, so we've got clients who come in with varying types of life changes. Um, do you have a situation that you can tell us anonymously about maybe someone in your family or someone close to you that's had a life change and they've reached that point where they're asking, what next? What do I do to have a purpose in life? Whew,
You
that's
know,
big, eh?
Fran, you and I talked about this before, but I've learned from one of my mentors, Mary Morrissey, when I did the Dream Builder course, that sometimes God whisper and tickle you with a feather to get your attention, to get your life in alignment with love. But a lot of us ignore that until, in order to get us attention, he hits us with a 2x4. And I am actually, I mean, after my accident this year, it's always like what have you learned? That's one of my favorite questions. I have this question with my husband, who's now semi-retired, and um, I am a firm believer that you don't just sit and thumb twiddle all day. I think that's dementia on a silver platter. So um, he is now learning a new skill. And he would come to me and say, oh, I made these mistakes and that mistakes. He's just working and practicing. He's not doing it yet. He's learning. And then I would say, but Wayne, what did you learn? So that's one of my favorite questions to ask. What did you learn? And in this whole thing, somebody very close to me had a brain aneurysm, a hemorrhage very recently. And to me, from where I'm sitting, I can see it was the universe or God hitting that person with a 2x4. It's the wake up call. It's interesting when you see it with somebody very close to you that you are having a huge emotional attachment to, but it's different when you see it in a client because a lot of times people that are not your clients, they don't necessarily come to you because they want to change. They come to you because they want to express,
Mhm.
complain,
Yeah.
tell you, bring you up to date. But when a client comes to us and they say, okay, I need to make a change, it's because they had the realization that the discontent within them is so big that they cannot continue on the same path. And to me, that discontent sometimes is exactly what people need to make the change and to realize that things cannot continue the way they are. So, what is your experience with clients or a story as
Yeah.
well that you can relate to personally?
Yeah. I think it's loss of hope, right? I think that when clients come to me, um, it's because they've lost hope in anything else, whether it's trying to get somebody else to change, right? You know, we as women, especially, we love people, and we don't want to see somebody going on a path that we think is not good for them. And so we try every method in the book, right? We try the coaxing, the nagging, the threatening, the bribing, the whatever it is, so that we can get people to change their life path. And, you know, very seldom does that work. And so they come to us with no hope anymore for whatever personal situation that they're in. And then somehow, just reaching out to us, it not in a way that they want to complain, right? Because there's something different in there. When you actually come to a therapist to ask for help, someone that is outside the family or outside your friend group, or there's a shift, there's a crack, the crack opens and the light starts to come in, just that little stepping through the doors onto the screen, where it's like, I need help, I need your help. So they're actually asking for help. And I'm reminded, we're not religious on this show at all, but one of my personal heroes is Jesus. And in the New Testament, it wasn't like Jesus went around just healing any old person. That person would come to him and cry out, heal me. Whether it's the woman who bled for 12 years, or whether it's the blind man, or whether it's the person who's lame, they would cry out for help because they really were at the bottom of the bottom. They didn't have anything else left. And that was their ticket to healing. And I think it's kind of the same with our clients. Otherwise, we're just kind of a sounding board for people. We're just there, and people, that's not even asking for advice. It's just, like you said, just a sounding board, just someone to listen. And that's okay too. But for the client, it's different, because they've actually reached out and said, help me. And I think there's extreme power in that, and really an amount of bravery that is really hard to explain, other than there's God. God works through us, and whatever name we want to call God, the power works through us to give those people our help and to make a change for them.
So when we look at specifically when a client do not feel as if they have purpose, one thing that over time came to me is to, I call it remembering who you are.
Mhm.
And so I'm a highly spiritual person, so I definitely believe that there is a higher power. I don't care if you call it God or source or the divine. Um, there is something out there, and I've experienced very intimately in my own life that there's a force out there that is extremely helpful and kind to me in my life. And the grace of that has been what I give credit, the grace for the success my two children has today, because I was such a broken person, yet they excelled, and I always call them the grace to help me through troubled times. But when a client comes to me and they look for their purpose, I guide them to that spiritual place where they can go to the feet of whoever they see as their higher power and remember who they were created to be, because I believe that everything is created twice, first with a thought and then with an action. And the same goes for human beings. You were created twice. Somebody out there willed you and thought you before you were conceived to come into this lifetime. We can talk a lot about that and different beliefs around that, but if you can regress a person to that point where they can just be at the feet of source, at the feet of the divine, at the feet of God, at the feet of love, and look at who they really are at that moment, it is life changing. And if they then, especially when they come to me about finding their purpose, if they then can see why they came into this life, who they came into this life to be, it is life changing. And that the family and the circumstances they came through was not, they didn't come for that family, they came through them. we come in here to learn, I think we come in here into this lifetime to again align ourselves with who we really are. Before we came here, soul. We have souls. Soul come into this life with us, with this body. But when this body is done, soul lives on. So who is that soul? Can we develop that soul? Can we start to live from that beautiful, pure, unconditional love soul version of ourselves? And then ask the question, why am I here? And without failure, my clients get it. It's like this big aha moment. Okay, now I see why I'm here. And nothing is the same again. Once you can see that, once you can understand that, once you can live for that and from that, life is different. And that's what I absolutely love about my job. I always say I'm actually in the job of remembering who you really are. And in oneness with source, with that creator, with love. God is love. If you can remember who you are in love in that moment, it's sacred. It is life changing.
Mhm. And I like how you said sitting at the feet of whatever force created you, because it's humbling, right? It's humbling to believe that you were created for a purpose here, but also it's humbling to believe the oneness, the
Yeah.
oneness of us with Creator and with all of creation, that we're all here for a purpose and that we're all here as a piece that's necessary and important and was thought. There's a thought that went into our creation to create us beautifully the way we are, in whichever way it is, beautifully created with an intent, that intent behind it all. It's humbling, it's so powerful, it gives me goosebumps to think about it. And I think that, like you, myself, having knowledge of a higher power in my life gives me the purpose I need, because I know that is each footstep I am being carried, or I'm being walked beside, right? There is someone there is a force that is there that is directing my path because I believe it. If I didn't believe it, then I wouldn't have that help. But because I believe that my path for me is being helped by a force much greater than me, the force that created the universe, created all of oneness. How could I be stepping wrong? So I think that was all tied together. The understanding of the oneness and the humbleness that I am just one small piece of the puzzle, but the whole puzzle is important, and that I do have a purpose here. My life is important, whether I live here till I'm 100 years old, or whether it's not 100 years old. The days of the steps of my life, the days of my life are counted. The hairs of my head are counted. So all of that gives me purpose. And I think that our clients see that um, when they interact with us, and they see who we really are and how we we help them. Yeah.
It's a journey. It's a journey from beginning to end, and I've learned so much in this journey that I'm traveling about that oneness and about that power that's within me, the power of choice
Mhm.
to start with, the power of faith, the power of belief. When somebody like Jesus healed a person, it was not there was a co-creator in that miracle, and the co-creator was the person who had faith. that it will happen. And if you don't have faith in something, it cannot happen. And so even for us, as if you want to create anything, you have to have the faith that it will work. And as you know, I'm quite a follower of Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I see that because if you believe that you can connect to source in such a way that you heal, that you become part of that source of healing, then it will happen. But if you don't, and then we always in our work deal with those limiting beliefs with I am not good enough, I'm too different, I the list can go on and on, but I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy is one of the biggest ones I deal with. And especially when people start to dream dreams for themselves according to what they experience when I do this spiritual journey with them. If they see, for example, in that spiritual journey, they are talking and encouraging a crowd at Wembley Stadium,
Mm,
the first thought that comes in is, I am not good enough. I do this thing for corporations where you have a scenario. For example, you sit at your desk and you get an email from your boss, and your boss said, Fran, I need to talk to you right now, urgently. What is the first thought that comes to your mind?
I'm in trouble.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know that? Do you know that for sure? So it's just a fine line of how our thoughts can dictate so many things in our lives and how we have that power to change that thought and to rewire ourselves. So those limiting beliefs that's within us can completely stop everything. So if you have a dream, if you have a purpose in life and you believe, okay, I have a dream of speaking to 2,000 people at Wembley Stadium, make it 6,000. I don't know how many people can fit in there. And oh my gosh, that's my dream. And the first thought that comes to your mind is, I'm not good enough. The dream is going to stop right there. But if you say, okay, this is an interesting thought, I'm open to it. Okay, universe, if you want it to happen, sure, then there's a possibility. But we stop a lot of our growth, a lot of our possibilities in our thoughts alone.
Mhm. Yeah. And for those of us that have done this, one, it's an exercise, and it's a commitment too, is to actually every day write a page out about how it feels to stand in Wembley Stadium and, be as visual as you can. I'm so excited. I'm standing in Wembley Stadium on the stage, and they're testing my mic, and the mics sound great, and people are starting to arrive, and you just write it out. I mean, it's your biography, right? It's the
Yeah.
biography that you haven't quite stepped into that timeline yet, the beautiful timeline. You haven't got there yet, but you are creating that timeline for yourself. You're creating it.
Yeah.
And so some people are very good at it. I can be wonderful at it, right? But it's a process. It's a commitment to yourself and to your future self, even if you do 3 months from today, right? You can't commit to 2 years from now, but say 3 months from today, what is it that you want to do, want to achieve? So you would write it out. I want to be, I am, right? I am the power. I am sitting in my kitchen, looking out the kitchen window and realizing that I have this, X and O amount of income coming in weekly because of the job that I'm doing that I love, which is whatever, fill in the blank, and just embellish it. Just embellish it as you
Right,
go
right.
along, or you're sitting under
Mhm.
a palm tree in Bahamas, right? As you do whatever, writing the book that you always wanted to write. And it's a fun and engaging assignment, and you just do it every day. And we talk about the path, right? So yeah, put one foot in front of the other every day, working towards whatever it is whatever it is, your purpose, you think you might find what your purpose is, whatever you think your purpose is, get it down, get it on paper. And
Right.
the sooner you do that, the sooner you'll get to the goal you want.
There are a lot of people, like I mentioned Joe Dispenza, who talk about creating your future self. And what you are describing here is exactly that. Um, when all your dreams come true, and if I have a magic wand and I can create 100% a life where your dreams all come true, how would you think? How would you walk? How would you talk? That's your future self. And Paul McKenna now does a lot of work around your future self as well. And that's exactly what we do. For example, if your wildest dream come true, let's say, for example, you land a dream job, you become a CEO of a big company. If when you are CEO of a company, how do you think? What are your thoughts about? I would put gratitude in there. I would put empowered in there. I would put pride in there, not in a bad way, but in a good way. How would you think? How would you talk? What kind of conversations would you have? What would your dreams be like? How would you feel when you go to sleep at night? And now you start to rehearse that as if it is a role that you play for stage as an actor. You start to rehearse that. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about walking as it. He does all these walking meditations as part of a co-creation. So you decide who is your future self. Then you go into this meditation as that future self. And before you know it, you manifest it. And when you can control your thoughts in such a way, that works very well with healing. If anybody wants to heal themselves of anything, is to create that future self, create a life without pain, a life without arthritis, without cancer, without, in my case, I am uncreating having plantar fasciitis in my
Mhm.
foot. So how would I walk? How would I talk? How would I go to the gym? How would I walk my dog? What shoes would I wear? I've had this since February, so I only wear really old lady shoes now. So and I'm like, wow, I went to an opera on Saturday night and I'm like, oh, I wanted to wear that dress, but I don't have comfortable shoes to wear with it. So I want to change that. My future self is next week. I'm going to visit my son in Halifax. We're going to go on a lot of hikes. How am I going to walk? How am I going to feel knowing that I have no pain? How will it feel to go walk on that beach with no pain? How happy will I be? How grateful will I be? Can I walk as it now? Can I talk as it now? Can I imagine that right now that that is who I'm going to be next week? A week and 2 days from now, walking on a beach.
Mhm. Yeah, and if you don't know what to write, have like a sheet in front of you. At the top, you have just like walk, talk. You just have these keywords, right? And then you look at there and you go, okay, I'm going to talk about how I'm going to walk. I'm going to talk about what I say. I'm going to talk about who I see. I'm going to talk about what I'm thinking. Just have those keywords at the top of each page, and you can photocopy that page. And every day you just grab a photocopy and you write and you use your keywords. Have a keyword of pride, have a keyword of gratitude, have a keyword of success, have a keyword, and then use those words in your sentences, and you make it come alive, which is it's beautiful, right? And you'll look back on it someday and you'll go, wow, wow, because that's exactly what I'm living right now. One of the things that they used to do, I think about 15 years ago, it was the vision board, right? Where you would
Yeah,
cut
yeah, that was
cut
big. Yeah.
pictures, right? Cut pictures out of magazines and paste them on. And at that point, when I made my first vision board, I had still had kids at home, and I wasn't traveling at I wasn't traveling at all, but I had cut all these pictures out of magazines about all the places that I was going to go. It was a travel magazine, and I just stuck them all over this thing. I put a picture on of some people kayaking and all those kinds of things that I that's what I wanted for my life. And I looked at that vision board I had it posted up for a long, long time. And when I finally did take it off down, I think it was because I was painting or something. And I looked at it the other day, and all these obscure places, like I had been to Nepal, and I had been to Peru, and I had seen these things, and it was like, wow, that stuff came true. And it wasn't like they were on my bucket list, because at that point, I didn't even have a bucket list. All I was doing was cutting pictures out of a magazine that I liked. And so it's quite incredible what the power of the mind
Absolutely.
will do once you set an intention, once you set
Right.
this
Yeah.
path. And I think the creator, the whoever you choose to call God, wants us to be happy in the
Right.
most fulfilling way. We're like for you, what finding your purpose here on earth, or to for me, it's to love and be loved. So he wants to make she, the creator, wants to make that happen for me as well.
So one very real life experience that I have of how this works is on May 28th, I had an accident, which is just about 4 months ago now, and I shattered my elbow.
Mhm.
And in the healing process, it became quite difficult for me because I fell back into just sitting around trying to get better. And that's not a good place for me to be at. I'm a doer. I'm not a sitter. I always have to do something. So at one day I'm like, okay, enough of this. I'm going to proactively start to heal. What am I going to do? And the first thing I did, I scheduled a coherence healing through the Joe Dispenza group. And the second thing I did was to have that intention. My intention was actually should look it up. My intention was that I'm going to heal in record time, that I'm going to play golf by the end of the summer, that I am going to have complete motion of my arm back in record time. And it's been about a month now, 3 weeks now since I've seen my surgeon for the last time. I still had, at that point, about 3 months of healing left in my bones, but I'm already normal. I'm functioning normally. I'm working out. I can carry a very heavy weight, more than the average person of my age. I am pushing weights. I do weight training in the gym. I golf again. And that's just by pure determination. What is my future self going to look like? Not when am I playing golf next year in the summer, but when am I playing golf now? And I had a clear timeline of when I was playing golf, and I had it. I made it. I did it.
Mhm.
And now I'm playing golf again. So
Mhm.
that's just that strong determination. And then imagining myself doing it, getting a physiotherapy, being very diligent at doing those exercises. My physiotherapist said, "Oh, I should have your photo on the board here on my office here because if every single client can tackle this like you do, our success rate would be really high. But it's the power of your mind. It's your willpower, the power of mind and your belief. I can do this. My surgeon actually said to me, well, you still have about 4 degrees left before your arm is completely straight. And I said to him, and he said, you most people just live like this. And I said to him, no, I'm going to get it completely straight. He said, why? And I said, because I can. I do not live a limited life. I live a limitless life because I can. And that became one of my favorite sayings, because I can. Why
Mhm.
do you want to live in your purpose? Why do you want to live your full potential, friend? Because you can. Because we
Mhm.
can.
Yeah, and I always made it my mantra. Well, if they can do it, I can do it.
Absolutely.
If somebody
Absolutely.
else can do
That
this,
4 minute
I can do
mile.
this. Yeah, I'm not sure what my timeline is on that, but it's going to happen, Marina. It's going to happen.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. We just don't give up.
don't give up. Well, yeah. Is there any last words of hope you have for those that are watching or listening to us today about finding your purpose?
If you truly want to find your purpose, go and silence yourself
Mm.
in that inner work and find yourself at the feet in the presence of that energy of the creator, of God, of the divine, of source, of the universe, and start to look inside your heart. Who is there? Who was willed into this life that you live today? Who is it? Find in that place of absolute acceptance and unconditional love. Who are you? Find that, write it down, and then ask, why am I here? And see what answer comes to you, and you will be
Mhm.
surprised. And then start to live your life from that.
Mhm.
See
Yeah.
life differently, because we are all here for a specific purpose. In my experience, in my opinion, one of the biggest purposes for us as human beings is to return to love under all circumstances. Be kind first, be love first. So that is my final word. How about you, Fran?
Yeah. I would just add on to yours. If you're not sure how, just do the 7 layers of why, right? And you will find your purpose. You'll find your purpose. And then um, at that point, you'll have a reason to do, you'll have a reason to do all the journaling and the intentions and you'll have a reason. You'll have a place to go. You'll have a timeline.
So just gave me a little chance there to cough and drink some water. Thank goodness for the
Yeah.
mute button on our devices.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Fran. Great topic tonight. Love your
Great
whys.
topic.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Yeah.
We love to bring you hope. And if you like what
Thank
we
you
do,
for
please
being here,
subscribe.
Marina. We sure do.
And we will see you back
Yeah.
next time.
Talk soon.
Bye.